Hello, I am Elder Small, and I'd like to thank you for joining me here on my channel in this session, wherein I'm going to reflect on the appendix in my book, You Deserve More. There's a section back there on meditation where we give you some meditation exercises. But before I get started, or as I get started, and let me say that the world we live in would be a completely different place if we used our voices to express only what is pleasant and or what is true or trustworthy. The great Panjali of India, he once said, "Speak what is true, speak what is pleasant." He infers that we should not use our voices to say what is not true, even if it sounds pleasant, and one should not say things that sound pleasant if they are not true. Our mind, serve as the command center, directing our mouths, our tongue, and our voice. It is the source of all our thoughts, words, and actions. Thus, the mind cries out to be understood and subdued by higher consciousness, which fosters self control, righteousness, kindness, gentleness, justice, balance, love, and order. When the mind is under the control of the senses, it can be the worst enemy. On the other hand, when the mind is subdued by higher consciousness, it can be your best friend. And having lived on both sides of the fence, I can say from experience that when the mind is subdued by higher consciousness, the mind becomes the domain of peace, contentment, intelligence, harmony, order, truth, and lasting love. I have spent over 6,000 hours praying in accordance with Christian teachings, but it wasn't until I studied and committed time to meditation that I learned to transcend sensory perception and my orientation to our current sense of reality. This journey allowed me to discover realms of fulfillment, purpose, meaning, and deep satisfaction within my inner self. Meditation is acknowledged as a vehicle that transcends ordinary human awareness and consciousness. In deep meditation, consciousness can be withdrawn from the body and mind, entering a kind of singularity in which the sense of self-importance, self-esteem, and physical identity are subdued. And while in this realm of meditation, it is the goal. It is a process that requires time, teachers, study, and dedication. Meanwhile, for those like myself who are on the path of learning and understanding the principles and practices of meditation, it is much like prayer in the sense that its goals and methods vary from one culture to another. Although the goals and objectives and methods involved in meditation vary from one culture to another, several aspects of meditation remain consistent across both ancient and contemporary culture. One of those aspects is concentration, which involves closing the mind off from the outer world and allowing it to focus inwardly. The inward focus is translated interacting with consciousness itself, which means that all of our senses must be muted. They must be turned off. There are four main components of meditation. One is posture, how we sit, how we stand. The other is breath control, how we breathe, sound, meditation, music, mantras, and visualization, focusing on the third eye or the sun or a pyramid, some other object. Meditation in the context of modern religious practices shares many similarities with prayer, fasting, studying, and spending time in solitude. It serves as a mental and spiritual exercise that allows individuals to gain control over their minds. Consequently, meditation not only helps in subduing the senses, but also guides the mind away from unwanted thoughts and distractions. When you can detach or set the mind free from thoughts, imagination, ideas, delusions, emotions, and attachments, your true self, your true identity, then becomes visible to the conscious mind. Patanjali, who was a Hindu author, mystic, philosopher, he taught that, and I quote, meditation is the direct means of becoming integrated, united with one's truest, deeper self, end quote. The deeper self is the higher vibrational you, who lives in alignment with divine consciousness, able to exercise creative power likened to the process of creation alluded to in the Genesis creation story. While religious dogma directs prayers towards Allah, God, or Jesus, meditation facilitates a connection with universal consciousness. It enables us to access our deeper self, and in doing so, tap into the innate ability to transform our own circumstances, which, in a sense, answers our prayers. The gateway to uniting with divine consciousness is within us, and the only credentials we need to access it are finding time for solitude and spending time with ourselves. I cannot tell you everything there is to know about meditation, but I have been a student and practitioner of meditation for decades. It is a gateway that allows us to interact with consciousness, thereby growing and understanding the who, what, and why of ourselves. Meditation is a key component in the next step of human evolution, as the next step will not be about physical development, but rather a change in consciousness. If you make the effort to look within, you will discover the benefits of knowing yourself. You will discover the fruit of spiritual awareness, which will support your growth across various dimensions: physiological, biological, psychological, socioeconomic, and spiritual. And so I'm going to stop there, and in doing so, I'm going to grant that you may experience the greatest good in your life and supreme intelligence. Dua, Hotep, I say.